Welcome to Caitrin, Rebecca, Ruin the Magic, the show where we disclose the secrets of Harry Potter Day at the Westland Public Library. As you can see, we're seamlessly inserted into Hogwarts through the magic of Zoom.
And today, because we won't be able to have Harry Potter Day with you guys for a little while, we wanted to share some of the fun secrets that we use to make it so magical.
Today, we're going to show you how to make the Cups of Fortune from Divinations class.
Hey friends, Rebecca here, and I am so excited to ruin the magic for one of our oldest Harry Potter Day tricks. Are you ready? Now the Cups of Fortune, or the Divinations drinks as they're now known, started 5 years ago with our very first Harry Potter Day. It was that time called Harry Potter's Potions class, and it featured various activities that involved liquid in some ways. This one is very simple, and I'm excited to show it to you today. So if you're as ready as I am, let's get divinin'. The Grim! The first ingredient you're going to need is a clear container. We use a glass, and most of you will have this at home, but we also can use solo cups or anything that's going to show the drink. The next ingredient is, of course, liquid food coloring. Now, it's especially important that you use liquid food coloring because, unfortunately, the gel food coloring, while it mixes great in frostings and such, does not mix well with water. The next ingredient is, of course, our clear liquid. Now that can be water or sparkling water like LaCroix, or you can use Sprite, or even if you want to try lemonade. Now, granted, there's a yellow to that lemonade, so it may change the color of your end result, just as long as you prepare for that. Now, our last ingredient is optional, but it is very important, and that is ice. And we'll explain to you in a little bit why you'll want to use ice to help you keep this trick magical. Now the process for this is actually pretty simple. There's really only 3 steps. And the first one is placing food coloring in the bottom of your empty glass. Now as you can see here, I'm going down as deep into the glass as possible. This prevents splashbacks so that there's no food coloring on the sides of the glass, which would show that you're doing a trick, obviously. Now the next step is, of course, to add ice to your cup. This is not a required step, but what the ice does is help conceal the food coloring at the bottom of your glass. Even if it's fresh and the food coloring is climbing up on the ice, it's usually enough of a distraction that you won't see it once you're pouring in your clear liquid. And of course, the final step is pouring your liquid into the glass. Now this is the part where you're really going to have to step up your theatricality, because the point of this is to emphasize that there is a clear liquid being poured into the glass, yet the liquid rising up in the glass itself is a different color. This is one of the best things that magicians do, is distract their audience from what's actually happening with what they want them to see. So, as you're pouring your liquid and the color is rising, one of the things you can do is attach a meaning to the color. Make it somewhat of a divination, if you will. Now, as you can see, we've been attaching meanings to these various colors for Westland's Harry Potter Night, but that doesn't mean that you have to use the same meanings. You don't even have to use the same colors. There's so many combinations out there that you can come up with your own Cups of Fortune with their own meanings. The one thing that you definitely need to do is make it special. Now before I send you off to do this yourself, I have a few tips to make this the most efficient and effective that you can make it. The first thing is whether to have dry food coloring or fresh. Now if you place food coloring in a cup fresh, it definitely is quickest and easiest, but it's also harder to maintain because you've got drippage and you don't want to show that off. So one thing that you can do instead of just having it fresh, plus you also have to hide yourself putting it in there, is to put it in the cup and let it dry. It usually just takes a couple of hours. When we do it for Harry Potter night, it often will dry it overnight, simply because we have to do so many cups that we need to do them in bulk ahead of time. When you're doing hundreds at a time, you need to make sure that they are extra dry when you stack them all back up. So if you're doing this just at home, you could probably let this dry for an hour and it should be fine. Again, I suggest using ice. 1, because I like ice in my drink, and 2, because again, it just hides that bottom. Now, as you can see, because I'm using fresh, there's some splash here from the ice. That's one reason why dry is great. If you're gonna use dry, then you definitely wanna use ice because it's just that much easier to hide it. However, if you're doing fresh, one way that you can hide this little leaking here, this little swirling of color, it's the way that you hold the cup. Now that's one thing magicians do that we don't necessarily realize. They hold things in kind of a weird way, but it's to hide what they're trying to hide from you, I guess. So this is a way you can you might want to hold it like that. That's kind of comfortable and it doesn't look too awkward. But you want to make sure that you can hide that base. So you're still showing them the glass, but you're not necessarily showing them the color. And finally, the last tip, and really the most important one, as I mentioned before, you need to play up the theatricality of the results of these cups. When you pour, as you're pouring, watch the drink and make sure that your attendees realize, oh my gosh, you're gonna have so much success. Really play it, maybe even tell them how, give them a story, because that is what's gonna make it about them and make them focus less on what's happening in the cup. Enjoy!